everybody, this morning I am in Noblesville, Indiana. In fact, I'm pretty far north in Noblesville, and we're going to talk about that statement just a little bit, where somebody might think I am really far north in Noblesville or I'm really far south in Noblesville, just as a comparison to that. So we're going to talk about really far north Noblesville, that perception of potentially being too far out there, also with Westfield as well, and maybe any other extreme around Indianapolis. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in a place like Noblesville and of course Indianapolis, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Now we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about places like this, Noblesville, and kind of far north in Noblesville, or even south, or Indianapolis, or Greenwood, way to the south. So if you have questions at all about anything Indianapolis or any of the cities and towns surrounding Indianapolis, then make sure you reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to the Indy Metro. All right, guys, again, I'm in Noblesville this morning, and I'm actually walking in a neighborhood that is close to Harbor Trees. So I'm in North Harbor, and across, if you were to go out this road to the right, to the north, you have 211th Street. So when I say 211th Street, I mean, you know you're pretty far north, definitely, if you're counting a lot of the streets in Indianapolis. So all the numbered streets, they generally run east-west, at least most of them do. And if you're 10th Street, well, you know essentially how far north of Monument Circle you really are. And if you get to 20th Street or 38th Street or 96th Street, you know essentially how far north you are. So if you're all the way up here at 211th Street, you're pretty far north. You're pretty far north of what we consider the central part of Indianapolis. So 211th, and if you were to go just straight east, you'd run right into Morse Reservoir. So again, I'm at Harbor Trees, and I can actually see some of the holes behind some of these houses here. And this golf course has a lot of memories for me because I used to be a high school science teacher at Westfield High School, and I was there for 16 years. And while I was there, I actually coached the golf team, and this is where we had our sectionals. So every single year, for the most part, it actually changed a little bit towards the end of my time there. But anyway, we're here at Harbor Trees. It's a super nice place, really nice country club. They've got a little beach club as well. So, you know, outside of just having golf, got that. And what I like about Harbor Trees too is that there are a lot of golf courses that can really, really beat you up, and they can really be too difficult. And Harbor Trees actually, I think, is a little more gentle. It's in incredible shape, and it's pretty fair for a lot of players out there. But Harbor Trees has always been thought, and this particular part of Noblesville, and if you go, just like I said, off to the east, you get into Morse Lake or Morse Reservoir. And I'm walking down this street here, and I've got to be a little bit quiet because we've got the 18th green right up here, although I don't see anybody on it right now, and the 10th tee up here just behind me, and there are some people getting up there right behind me over here. The 18th is a cool hole. It's a little par 3 that goes over just this little inlet of Morse right up to the green there behind me. But this has been here a long time, and it's funny with the perceptions that, especially with Westfield, with how much Westfield has actually grown. And make sure nobody's coming up this way because this is the parking lot for Harbor Trees Golf Course right up there, and I can see the driving range right over there. We'll kind of come out of here away from where a lot of the players are at the moment. So Westfield used to be less than 10,000 people. I mean, just over 20 years ago. Now there's 50,000 people. Noblesville is still bigger than Westfield. There's 65-ish thousand so people in Noblesville. And this neighborhood, this golf course, just really this whole area, it's been here longer than northern Westfield has. So when you get up towards State Road 32, which runs east-west, and US 31, that's a spot in Westfield that has just kind of exploded. There's a lot of businesses there now, there's a lot of commercial, and of course, you can get into where original Westfield is really located. So some of the expansion has gone north of State Road 32. So if you get all the way up to, or at least a road, 216th Street, that's right where you're getting on the northern border of Westfield at that point. And you get further north than that, and you get into Cicero and Arcadia, some other towns. You go really far north. You can get up to Kokomo, but that's exceptionally far north. Tipton, places like that along US 31. So right now the perception is that, well, if I live up there, like at 191st or around 200th or like 211th, that it's super far north and I'm gonna be just really far out there and kind of cut off from a lot of what Indianapolis might have to offer, or I'd say anything that even Westfield would have to offer. But that's not actually true. If you're up at this 211th Street or so, over in Westfield, it is a super short drive to get all the way down to 146 and 31. We're talking 20 minutes or less, probably less than that. And then US 31 and State Road 32, certainly less than that there. So if you're thinking the same thing here in Noblesville, well, Noblesville is a lot less new with all of that. Like I said, this has been here actually a long time. This golf course has been here for decades. This neighborhood has been here for decades. There's some new construction that's going on out around this, but there are people in this area that have been living here a very long time, for years and years and years, in neighborhoods, well established, that have not thought it's too far north and not thought that it's too far out there. Now, these may be people that don't necessarily have to go to downtown Indianapolis, because from here, it could take you 45 minutes, 50 minutes to get all the way into downtown proper, but some do, and they just don't consider that a long commute. It depends on where you're from and what your definition of a long commute really is. But a lot of these people work in Noblesville. They work from home. They work in Carmel. They work in Westfield. They work in cities nearby, and they're not worried about going to Indianapolis at all. So when you start taking a look at an area like this, or Noblesville in general, and think, wow, it's too far north or it's too far out there, it may really not be. And there are a lot of people that think the same way and could probably even prove it, that it's not too far out there. So this particular spot, I mean, to me, I was living in Indianapolis when I first moved to Indianapolis and would have to come here, and I was on the north side of Indianapolis and thought, wow, this golf course is way north. It's pretty far for me. It's a long drive for me, but I got used to it after a little while, and because in reality, where I was living and how long it took me to get to this golf course was about 30 minutes. And that's really, in reality, not all that bad. At least in my perception, it's not all that bad. So this place has been established. It's been under a different perception for a very long time. Northern Westfield, even places a little truly south of, people think, ah, it's too far out there. It's too far north. And over here, it's just not been that way. This isn't too far north. This has been here even further north than that area for a long time, and that perception has kind of maintained. In fact, if you wanted to argue like different commutes, well, Northern Westfield tied into US 31, that's a whole lot easier to get to Indianapolis. You don't hit a stoplight, cruise right down that highway, and get there in 20 minutes to the northern part of Indianapolis. From here, you have to wind around a little bit, and you have to find a decent way to get there, and it's going to take you a few minutes longer. You could certainly cut over to US 31, which is probably what I would do from here, but you can also go east, and you can travel south on a lot of different roads to get back to northern Indianapolis. But it's a little bit more trouble. People have been dealing with that for years. Now, so if you find a home, which you can, in a neighborhood like North Harbor, as I said, or Oak Bay across the street, and you think, gosh, that home is really incredible, the lot is really incredible, it's right by this golf course, or it's right by Morse Reservoir, Morse Lake, and that's just where you want to be, you like that feel, but you're thinking, oh, it's so far north. Do the math on that. Put in your directions in your phone, where you are, whatever location that home is, to where you want to go. I think that you'll probably be a little bit surprised. I gotta whisper a little bit now, because there's a green just off to my left with people playing on it over there. I'll not be too terribly loud. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised for the most part. Now, of course, it could really be too far north for you. It could be too far out there for you. You may want to be more in the mix where it's a little bit more dense with more cars, more people, maybe what you're used to and what you like. But out here, it's got just a little hybrid of that. There are certainly people, there are definitely neighborhoods and houses and a little bit of density, but it's probably half the density that you'll find right in the heart of Noblesville, certainly right in the heart of Indianapolis, or a place like Carmel and Fishers on the north side. Just a little bit more quiet, but not that extreme rural feel that you might feel in a lot of different places around Indianapolis or around some of the cities that surround Indianapolis. So if you have questions about places like this, what might be too extreme for you, what might not be, then be sure that you reach out. And until the next one, we'll see you later.